Good evening and welcome to the June meeting of the Historic Conservation Commission. I'm Gary Lader, Chair of the HCC, and I would like to introduce the commission. To my left is Jeffrey Long, our Historic Officer and Registered Architect. To my far left is Craig Evans, resident of the district. To my right is Desiree Strasser, resident of the Mount Airy district. And to my far right is Mike Simonson, Chief Building Inspector. Ordinance information. It is the purpose and intent of the City of Bethlehem to promote, enhance, and preserve historic resources, traditional community character for the education, cultural, economic, and general welfare of the public through the preservation, protection, and regulation of buildings and areas of historic interest or importance within the city, which have been determined to be of local, state, or national significance. The way the meeting will unfold is the applicants will be taken in order. And in this case, we only have one applicant tonight. After identifying the project address and the presenters, our historic officer will provide a background on the building and any recommendations. At that time, the applicant will present their project and plan. The board will then address the project, allow public comment if any, and ultimately create a motion to approve as presented, approve with modifications, table the project with clear recommendations, or deny the project with reasons for the denial and changes or improvements which would result in a positive recommendation. For public comment, there is a 3-minute time limit, and comments must be specific to attributes of the building only. Speakers are to announce themselves with their name and address before speaking. The HCC is a recommending board, and the results of our meeting will be presented to City Council, and the vote will be binding. Please do not forget to secure your permit from the permit office on the first floor of City Hall before you begin your project. Above all, I remind everyone to conduct themselves in a civil manner and always use a civil tone. The commission is here to help you with your project. We are a group of volunteers who are dedicated to historic preservation and restoration of older buildings in Bethlehem and beyond. If any commission members have a conflict of interest with any of the applications or with the application on tonight's agenda, please come forth at this time. I don't think there is. Okay. And with that, I'll ask our applicant, have you signed in yet?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we'll have, maybe just please introduce yourself, and then Jeffrey will get started with the description of your project.
Sure. Just like my name and
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm Taylor Romero. I'm trying to open a place called Let Them Drink Tea. 306.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're good. Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Taylor, did you print so I can read that to capture?
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. 306 Broadhead Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
The building description, period, style, and defining features. 306 Broadhead Avenue is comprised of two very similar adjoining buildings. Both are 3-story, 3-bay, brick masonry, mixed-use structures with flat roofs. One has subsequently lost its neighbor and is now a semi-detached end structure, while the other is attached. Both are late Italianate in style and comprise the end portion of an entire block of similar structures along Broadhead Avenue constructed between 1890 and 1900, each with business locations at the entry level and residential units in the upper 2 floor levels. The original entry-level storefronts of both structures have been manipulated over time and now include recessed entrances and large display windows with painted aluminum frames flanked on either side by brick piers. Both storefronts share a simplified cornice over the entry level, while the sign band is defined by similar window sills as the second level. Each upper floor facing Broadhead has 3 pairs of double-hung windows. Brick pilasters above the sign band lead up to a brick corbelled cornice. Exterior facades of both structures have been painted, with the entry-level storefronts light beige in color and the upper floor levels yellow in color. The exposed end or north facade is smooth stucco, painted light beige in color. Proposed alterations: the applicant proposes to install 3 new signs. Guideline citations for my assessment include the Secretary of Interior Standards number 9. It has to do with new additions, exterior alterations, and related new construction. In this case, we don't have construction. stating that they will not destroy the historic materials, features, and spatial relationships that characterize a property. The Bethlehem ordinance that Mr. Lader read at the beginning of tonight's meeting, the Historic Conservation Commission guidelines specific to signage, and also the Historic Conservation Commission guidelines specific for storefronts. My evaluation of the proposal, its effect on the Historic Conservation District, and my recommendations. The Certificate of Appropriateness application indicates the intent to install 3 new signs to reflect a new commercial tenant. The applicant is incomplete due to the lack of the accompanied scale drawing with elevation view that depicts the building facade and locations of the proposed signage. Again, the scale drawing. There is a photo montage, but the application says a scale drawing, which the application indicates is required. The proposed non-illuminated sign for the existing sign band measures 37 inches tall by 221 inches wide. Sign material proposed is 3/8 inch thick individual acrylic letters and logo graphic that are pin mounted using non-corrosive metal studs. The design includes lettering and logos centered vertically and horizontally within the existing sign band above both display windows. The text includes the words "Let Them" in medium, thin, stylized cursive lettering, followed by "Drink Tea" in large, bold, all uppercase stylized serif lettering, followed by the logo composed of a silhouette figure drinking from a teacup. All lettering and logo are gold in color. Relevant design guidelines for signage within the Historic Conservation District reference individual pin-mounted lettering as appropriate, so the proposed sign is appropriate, pending confirmation of the overall dimensions of the existing sign band to ensure that the proposed signage actually fits. So if we had a scaled drawing, we would see the scaled lettering in relation to the scaled sign band. Formally to tonight's meeting, the applicant mentioned that the sign fabricator is not here, so I'm not sure we'll get that detail at tonight's meeting. Aside from a photo montage of the proposed signage within the right display window depicted in bright white color, so the first supplement to the application includes not only the signage and the sign band, but also what seems to be proposed window signage. And in the application, there is mention of acrylic letters, cut vinyl on front window. Beyond that, I didn't see any details of that specific element. So I'm describing what I observe. Such important details as the size. It does say the material is vinyl, so I'm sorry I missed that. The distances from the top, the bottom, and the size of the display window, etc., are not provided. So I'm requesting discussion with the applicant before appropriateness of the window signage can be determined. The applicant should be aware that HCC traditionally encourages a pinstripe detail around signage that kind of floats to give it a frame. And also, you traditionally encourage installation on the inside surface for easier maintenance and to help avoid any unwanted damage. So again, when we get to the discussion portion, allowing the commission to communicate with the applicant to see if we can fill in some of those blanks. There is also a proposed non-illuminated sign for the north or the side facade of the building that measures 48 inches tall by 64 inches wide. The proposed material is 3mm aluminum composite material, ACM, and they provide the manufacturer, the brand Dibond, as a rigid sign backer installed using 3/16 inch masonry screws with washers and trim caps. The design of that sign includes the logo composed of the silhouette figure drinking from the teacup, above the words "Let Them" in medium thin stylized cursive lettering, followed on the next text line, "Drink Tea" in large, bold, all uppercase stylized serif lettering. All lettering and logo are bright white in color and outlined in gold, while the sign backer is pink in color. The relevant design guidelines do not mention secondary facades as appropriate locations for signage within the district. So there is a one page in the guidelines that shows a typical facade. It gives the preference from, I think, 1 to 8 where signage is typically allowed in the district. It makes no reference to a side facade. In this situation, the applicant is faced with a situation that the side facade is what faces another street. So I understand their desire for a signage on that facade. I just can't tell you if it's appropriate or not because this specific situation is not called out in the guidelines.
Mhm.
Should HCC consider the sign location appropriate, the applicant should confirm the distances from the top, bottom, and the sides of the sign in relation to the overall facade. So yet again, we don't have a scale drawing. We have a photo montage. And that sign is just kind of floating on that building facade with no reference to heights, depths, widths, etc. And for the motion, we typically need those things so that the inspector can later go out and see that the sign conforms to the resolution. So I'm encouraging dialogue with the applicant to perhaps discuss those components. The applicant should also be aware, as mentioned previously, you typically encourage an offset pinstripe detail. So in this case, a pinstripe around the perimeter of the sign to give it some frame. Because the elements of the sign are quite close to the perimeter, there might be a need to resize slightly the graphics, etc., to make sure it still fits within that pinstripe detail if that's something you'd like to see here. Also, it says white in color. You traditionally discourage bright white, but rather a warm white or ivory is appropriate. So yet again, something to clarify with the applicant. There's mention of visible screws. We tend to shy away from visible screws. Usually it's concealed fastener. If you do allow visible fasteners, then typically you integrate a comment that those fasteners should be painted or concealed to match the background of the sign. So with that third sign assessed, that concludes my assessment of this agenda item.
Oh, just for clarity then,
Yes.
the window signage being shown is part of this, or?
It was referenced on the narrative
Okay,
at the bottom of the form, but I couldn't find beyond this photo montage any other reference. So perhaps the applicant could clarify that.
okay.
And speaking of the application, I did mention to Mr. Simonson, the building owner is not has not signed, and that's typically, there's a reason for that to be on the application. So perhaps your resolution could be contingent upon reaching back out to the building owner just to make sure they're also comfortable with proposed signage. We don't want any owner to be surprised by signage approved by a city board that they're not privy to.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jeff. Taylor, welcome. Is it, do you see any issue with getting the building owner to sign this?
No, he did sign it.
Okay.
Maybe he gave you one application and then he didn't give you because he did sign off
When that
on
he
it.
signed, okay.
Yeah, so
All
I'll
right.
have him
So
sign off again.
Yeah, hopefully that's easy to resolve then. Let's go to the building signage.
Copy what we're looking at if you're following
I
along.
just said show up. So. Okay, you're saying?
Okay, if you go to the signage band over the storefront windows, are you able to have you or your sign company confirm for us the size of that sign band, and just so
Yeah.
we know how this actually fits in there?
I can reach out to him. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a question I have too. So I understand you have a location in Nazareth. Is the signage also in gold at that location?
At that location, no, it's a what's it called?
Like a box sign?
No, it's canopy.
Oh, okay.
So it's a pink canopy with gold letters.
Yeah, okay. So, the reason I'm asking, it's very clear to read on the photo montage. I'm wondering if in reality the gold will be very readable, but that's that's what I'm not sure about. So, you know, it
Mhm.
might be something to talk to your sign maker about. I mean, it looks nice, you know, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, hey, I'm wondering if gold over white, if it's going to be very readable.
I have a question. Does it have to be white? Or is that like a thing?
Oh, I'm looking at, you know, what's existing there.
No, yeah, I'm saying, are you talking about the sticker? Or are you talking about the
Sign
gold?
band.
Sign band.
The sign
big-
band
big
itself,
one.
you know, this
Yeah,
part
does
here, that,
behind it have to be white? And because
oh,
I could paint it to like stick out more.
oh,
I don't know if that's something
okay.
how this works. So
yeah, I mean, I guess that's a conversation between you and the building owner.
yeah, he'll let me paint it. I was
Okay.
planning on but I didn't know if that was something I had to talk with you guys about because it's not.
Well,
my-
so that's an interesting question. I mean, in this district, we don't dictate colors that are temporary. So something like a paint color. I mean, you
yeah,
know,
that's what I was
we
planning.
keep our fingers crossed that's something that nice, but we don't actually dictate paint color. We do want to get involved with something that's more permanent. So, you know, but that's not the case here.
Yeah, I was planning on a pink background if it was allowed.
Oh,
My
okay.
landlord said it's fine.
Okay.
The owner of the building, and then to put the gold letters because it'll pop more. That's what we do at
Oh,
my current place.
Okay, yeah, so you have been thinking about that.
Mhm.
So that if you were to paint that pink, would it just be that sign band? It wouldn't be the entire front of the building, right?
Um,
It would just be behind the gold sign?
yeah, like right here from here.
Okay, so it would just be in the sign band.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
It would be nice if you would include to the information that you provide us subsequently, a paint swatch or a color, you know, because there are a million pinks.
No, that's understandable. I didn't know it was allowed, so I thought I would
Sure.
ask.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could say is, you know, just be careful because like the closer together the two paint colors are in hue, or value, that, you know, you might even end up with less contrast
Mhm.
afterwards. So, you know, just something to consider.
No, you're
If
right.
you have a pink at Nazareth, it probably, you know, and it pops there, it's probably going to be the same pink you could find on paint color. That would work.
I think so. Yeah.
I noticed that you have the, it's minimum 3 studs per letter. Now it's the script is the L one letter, the ET one letter, the T one letter, the HEM one letter. Like the how does that, and it seems like it's a lot of screws to get put into the
Hmm.
sign band.
I'm not sure if he's doing it as like one whole thing together. I have to ask him. But yeah, because they would have to be thin because the letters are thin,
Mhm.
so it wouldn't show. It shouldn't show from when I asked him and requested
And-
for.
Does the sign person know, like the couch potato sign there?
Mhm.
You know, I don't know how many screws were used to mount that.
We have
Are there
to
like a
remove
lot
them.
of holds there already?
Yeah, I don't know how many it held, but they all have to get removed because obviously they're gonna show. So maybe I have a picture.
Typically, we try not to put too many holes into the
No, that's
facade of
understandable.
the
Mhm.
buildings.
Yeah, I think the drink tea would all be separate letters in the
Yeah.
silhouette, but the let them might be. I'll have to ask him. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just it's,
I'd
I thought
like
it seemed like
to-
a lot of screws otherwise.
Yeah, you're right. And, you know, keep in mind too, we have a requirement that the screws as much as possible drill into mortar joints.
Okay.
So usually, you know, sign companies around here know that because it's a lot easier to repair a mortar joint.
Mhm.
One thing that kind of strikes me just about, you know, I'm just looking at this from my architect's eye, and you know, so you have, this is bold, the letters are larger. You have this and where, you know, it's in script or cursive and the letters are smaller. I'm looking at this side, you know, you have a little bit more height,
Mhm.
and it makes me wonder if it would work better for you if the signage was slightly shifted to take advantage of that increased height for the drink tea, and maybe it would just work better with the existing sign band. I mean, I know the default thing is to try and center it all, but it just might work better for what you're proposing.
Mhm.
And I guess the only way to know that for sure is to get a revised true elevation from the sign company. You know, I mean, I feel like we could give you enough direction tonight to help you move forward. And then, maybe Jeff and I and Mike can take another look at it before it actually is fabricated,
Mhm.
if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I can have it elevated.
It looks like, we don't have a scale on it, but it looks like the T and the silhouette seem to play into that higher portion of the sign band. I don't know if I'm missing that.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me too.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay.
Yeah, I think it would, I agree with Gary that I think it would look nice if it were, sort of justified to the right side of the sign band, just because I do agree. I think that it looks kind of, the drink part looks a little crowded and it kind of creates a illusion that it's real tight. And you have, it's a pretty, the drink tea, I really like the typeface you chose there. And I'm sure it's probably your logo from Nazareth, but it would be nice, I think, if it worked. That sign band on the right-hand side is nice and big and would give you a lot more space, I think. I think it was a good suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, what I would try to do is justify the D with the storefront below, and yeah, that might work. But again, I think it's something the sign maker should play with until you get a comfort level, and you could use that to your advantage.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
like center it over the door, like over that section even would look nice too, instead of trying to fill that whole sign band. If it were more justified to the right, where that front door is on the right-hand side, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you have both
Sides?
both sides?
Oh, no. You're asking me which door is
Well,
mine?
no. So that storefront, that entire
Yeah,
storefront.
Yeah,
is yours?
that whole thing.
Yeah,
is
that's
mine.
what's
Is yours? Okay.
it's interesting.
Maybe the window sign could be in the left-hand side.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not set on
there
either
you go.
one.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good
If you
idea.
did that and justified the sign band to the right,
Mhm.
you've claimed the whole space, but really kind of set up a balance a little bit
Yeah,
better.
yeah, that sounds nice. I like that too. That's a good suggestion as well. That'll make it obvious that you have the whole space that way.
Yeah.
And then the Let's Drink Tea has its room to breathe.
Well, should we talk about the sign mounted to the side of the building? Yeah. Right now, the side mounted sign, I guess the first question is, I think I hear what Jeff's saying, like normally we don't have a situation where we're allowing signage on two sides of the building, but I think it's warranted here. But it just looks a little bit lost. I think I would tend to, locate it closer to the front of the building. Yeah, I mean, when I say the front of the building, here's what I mean. It looks to me like maybe it should be down here, just a little bit closer to the corner and below this cornice.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and does that make sense to you? Just
I think my concern with that was I was trying to get people to see it from, there's like a hill, you know where it is, right?
yeah,
So
I sure
then,
do. I've been there.
right, yeah, right in front of there is like this, like I don't know what it is, like some big box radiator. I don't know what it is.
Transformer.
Yeah. So I just don't want it to be like lost, so nobody can see it because it's covered. That's getting covered.
Yeah.
That's my only concern.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I don't think that transformer's gonna block it, at least from what I could tell.
Mhm.
I see there's a dimension here, but I can't really tell what it's calling out. It says 90 inches to grade. Do you know what that refers to?
90 inches to
I would
grade.
say, neither did I until you just pointed
Yeah.
it out, but I would
Yeah,
assume it's
it's-
from the bottom of the sign to the ground.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
It's the bottom of the sign that's
Oh,
proposed on
yeah.
the building.
Mhm.
Yeah. I agree with Gary in that moving it towards the front of your building, your corner would, and just slightly below that corner. So I don't think, based on your scale here, if the scale is accurate on your drawing, it's 48 inches by 64. If you were to move it just closer to your storefront, it would create a relationship to
Yeah.
around the corner.
I can
And
do
I think
that.
you'd still be able to see it if it were just, dropped like 8 inches from that heavy black cornice,
Okay.
that would,
If-
I think it would still draw your eye to it.
Another thing maybe to consider, since we generally talk about pinstriping or some sort of border, if it could be framed and the frame mounted, then we're not going to have as many exposed fasteners.
That's
And
true.
it creates the border that we'd be looking for. Yeah.
How about like a black frame? I don't know.
Yeah, I think,
Go with a gold frame in this situation.
well, I think maybe it would be nice if it picked up the color, the cornice that's coming around the corner.
I got you.
Again, it's kind of unifying it rather, and it identifies it as this is the location as opposed to a sign being an advertisement for somewhere.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah, it could look really cute to add like a little arrow.
I was just
Very-
thinking that
It's
too.
got
Oh.
that sort of,
Yeah.
Feel to it.
feel to it that's kind of
Yeah.
like this way,
That'll be fine. Yeah.
And then I think the off-white comment is just because the bright white can get dirty
Okay.
quickly. So that's what, and it's a little softer. So one of the major recommendations about the off-white versus bright white is just that it's not going to be as easy. It's not as much to clean.
Okay, that's fine.
And I don't know if you're really going to need a border if you do a frame,
Right. I think that's what Craig was
Yeah.
suggesting.
right?
Yeah,
So
that's where I was
there's no
headed.
border on the sign.
Right.
Or pinstripe, I should say. I apologize. Or do we still think we?
Yeah, it was the border or the frame instead of a border.
Okay.
And so then you would put the fasteners under the frame. Is that what you were
Yeah.
recommending? Yeah. So then they're not exposed.
All right. Should we talk? I guess there's really three elements here, right? There's the signage band, the side sign, and the vinyl siding on the storefront. It looks like the vinyl lettering on the storefront it's just your logo and let them drink tea. Is that all your?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. And again, I think we just need the signage company to provide us with a scale drawing with the actual size of the storefront and the actual size of the lettering.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody has any more comments on that.
The logo, so it's pretty.
Okay. The only other thing, we usually expect when we look at these kind of submissions is, usually you want to have something on the door that has your hours or
Oh
like
yeah. I apologize. I didn't realize that was like a thing I had to. Yeah, I can do that. I mean, I was going to do it. I
Okay.
just didn't know if it was required for this. I apologize.
no problem.
So for the hours, and I now that I know that this is both storefronts, it's the same store. Are you going to use the left-hand door or just the right-hand door? Are you going to use this door here?
This
or-
left door all the way from the left of the red available thing.
Yes.
That's not ours. That's it connects to the apartments.
Oh,
But my door's kind of hidden. It's on the right side.
Right side.
So
I see it there.
You would put the
It's
hours.
recessed.
But it's like the left side of the right. There's two doors.
yeah,
on the
there's
right.
two doors. It's the left
Yeah.
door
The
on the
right door goes up to the apartments as well.
yeah. So that's
Far right door.
yeah. So the far right door and then the very far left
Okay.
door.
Your hours and so on being on the entrance door will help define that for people too.
Yeah, we're definitely.
Yeah, I was planning on doing that. I don't know. I guess I didn't. I thought I would just could have. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Are you going to put any other thing on the door besides your hours?
No.
Logo, a silhouette, anything like that? I'm just curious because we want to kind of capture it all.
Yeah. I feel like just the hours. Maybe no pets allowed. I don't know. You'd be surprised.
You may think about using just that logo of the person drinking tea and like just as like something to say, like, this is the door to this establishment, as
Yeah.
opposed to like, your name, like, you don't have to have your name repeated, but, just maybe
A
an
silhouette.
icon to like, the silhouette would make it, so that you see the silhouette and then you're like, oh, these are the hours for that place, as opposed to just an hour on a door where you're like, I guess this is for this place where I go into. I don't know.
Mhm.
Just to spell it out for people. Sometimes it's easier. Like you said, no pets allowed.
Yeah, I can do that.
Especially since you're going to put the drink tea on maybe the left storefront, might be easy to, maybe carry your logo onto the door. That way you have it on, the left storefront, and then there's maybe nothing in that right side where it is currently, and then the doorway has just the icon of the silhouette.
Yeah, that sounds good. I can do that. I don't design logos or graphics, so I just, trust other people to do it.
All right, any other comments or, okay. Somebody feel inclined to make a motion? You want me to do it? I'll do it. Okay.
Motion or request?
I'll make the motion. So I'd like to make a motion for let them drink tea at 306 Broadhead Avenue, that we issue a certificate of appropriateness for the signage as presented with the following comments: that the applicant, that number one, we have a application submitted to us that includes the owner's name of the property and date that he's seen this application. Number two, we are encouraging the applicant to resubmit an updated signage shop drawings that show our suggested location of the signage, including the actual size of the sign band. And that is a scale drawing that shows the actual size of the letters and how it sits within the sign band with dimensions of the existing sign band. Also keep in mind, we recommend fasteners attached to the mortar joints of the existing masonry. For the vinyl lettering below, we recommend a warm white, and the lettering should be applied to the inside of the glass. We would also like to see a scale drawing showing the actual size of the storefront and the size of the lettering. The updated submittal will include the vinyl graphics for hours on the door. On the side signage, we recommend either a pinstripe detail or a frame, and we're recommending to mount that sign, I would say about 8 inches to a foot below the existing cornice and about a foot away from the front face of the building. And again, this should be either with concealed fasteners or painted fasteners to match the frame or the sign. The updated proposal or signage submission should be reviewed by our historic secretary or myself or Mike Simonson. Any seconds on that?
I'll second it.
Great, thank you.
Aye.
Okay, I vote aye. Desiree?
Aye.
And
Mike.
aye.
Okay, thank you. So motion carries, and I hope this feedback's helpful for you. And wishing you a lot of success in this business. I can't wait to see it open.
Thank you.
So what we'll do, what happens next is you'll get a council votes on it. But before we do that, I guess we'll get her a copy. And then if you could reach out to me or have your sign person reach out to me and I could discuss some of the more details.
Yeah, I tried to write down
Yeah,
most of
yeah.
what you said.
Right. I'm sure you got it. You know what I mean? But I could.
You probably know it better than me.
Fine. Just so to make sure that when he submits his updated drawings, it has everything that I need.
Okay, that's
or
fine.
that we all made.
Okay,
Motion adjourned.
yeah, well,
Oh,
right. Motion to approve our minutes from last meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes as submitted.
Okay, I'll second that. Thank you. Taylor, you're free to skip out. You're all done.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And please reach out if you need anything else.
let me write my email down there so you have
Mhm. Also, do you need this? This was like an example of the.
the acrylic.
Yeah. He said to
Oh.
bring it.
Oh, okay.
And that's the gold. So that's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's poppy enough, I think. But
Yes, looks great.
I can see it.
Okay. Okay. All right. And before we adjourn, any new business?
Perfect. Thank you.
Just the discussion the email discussion that we had going a little bit about the hotel.
I don't know if it needs to be captured, but maybe we should get Desiree caught up too. I mean, it seems like it's maybe not necessarily so. There might. This was a meeting you missed last week, so you might not find it all that relevant. But it came up that they want to install
Well,
6.
still, we need to decide if the meeting has adjourned or if we're gonna,
Oh, okay,
if we're updating. So
okay.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Let's adjourn. So we can go off camera. The only other thing I was thinking to add is,